Okay, I've been vacuuming off all of the parts, hopefully getting any debris out so that nothing interferes with the new parts that I'm installing. I did find large chunks of magnet, which I removed down here and around the front portion. So hopefully vacuumed all of that stuff up. Have the new stator and rotor here. Trying to do this with one hand. It has the new magnets on it, and it seems to be identical. Cummins discontinued the old model numbers, and now you buy them as a kit. You can see that number right there. I'm going to take a picture of that. Okay. And it all seems here's the old stator rotor. As you can see, that magnet is missing there. This one does seem to be of a heavier construction. Interesting. So now I'm going to mount this back on the motor, hopefully without incident. I should note, lucky that went on without incident, there is a lip that fits on the stator that slides onto the motor, which makes it a lot easier to get the bolts in and to line everything up. So it went on without a hitch, with the exception of the bolts sticking to the magnets. So we're not putting everything tight yet. Just making it snug. And there are 5 bolts which hold it on. And you know, there's always one which is going to give you a little problem when you're putting it back together. There's always a problem child. So I'm going to have to set it down and fool with this for a second. Okay, I have the rotor on. I haven't tightened anything yet. Just making sure all the bolts are lined up. And it's looking pretty good here. So I'm going to continue and hopefully get the stator on next. I don't have any specs on the torque on those bolts, so I'm using my Craftsman impact gun to tighten it up. just to give it a slight tighten it down a little bit. Sorry about that. I can't. This impact gun is kind of heavy. Alrighty. Now, the stator sits on these, they're tabs, little nipples, where the stator should slide right in. So I'm going to try and put the stator in, hopefully causing no damage. As I said, the bolts, I do not have torque specs on them. I put them on as tight. I use the impact. Hopefully they will stay in place. This generator has about 2,000 hours. So if it stays on for another 2,000 to 4,000 hours, I'll be happy. So I'm going to get the stator and put that on there. Now these are the two stators. The new stator, of course, nice and shiny, and the old stator. My problem is this piece here. I don't know what that is. It is threaded. Let's see if I can get a picture of that serial number. It is part of the same kit. I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue and put it on. Hopefully this will not interfere with the housing and putting it back together. Okay, it looks like I've got the stator on, although I'm not happy with the spacing. As you can see here, seems a little tighter than down here, and it may be because I don't have it tightened up. So we're gonna tighten it up and see if that straightens that out. Okay, I've tightened the stator. This is a 3/16. And it does seem to have straightened everything out. Nothing is touching or rubbing, it seems. Trying to spin this. Hopefully I don't get shocked. Oh, maybe I'm not going to spin it. Okay, yeah. So, nothing seems to be hitting. That's always a good sign. Give them another nudge. Okay. Okay, everything is tight there. Okay, so the air breather was damaged some kind of way. So what I'm going to have to do now is take this apart. I did order a new air breather and cover. The cover I really didn't need, but if you're going to do it right. So I ordered the whole assembly, which wasn't very expensive. I believe one piece was $18 and the other $8 or something like that. So we're going to take this apart. Hopefully, and put the new breather on. These are, I believe, T30s. Yep, T30s, so I'll take these off. And then put the new piece on. I'm not going to bore you with the unscrewing of all this. Okay, the cooling fan is on, rotor's on, stator's on, cooling fan is on. That was 10 millimeter screws. Everything's turning okay. So I'm assuming everything is good to go thus far. The air breather I had to make some corrections on because this plate that it's attached to was pretty beat up. So I got that pretty straight. So now we'll put this on. And then I believe it's the radiator and the inverter. Well, I haven't been recording. I've been really tied up in getting this back together. I have the inverter back in, the stator, rotor, fan. I've reconnected all of the electrical lines from the stator to the inverter. I'm hoping that they're the same as I had them marked on the old stator and rotor. So I'm in the process of putting everything back together. I have the radiator back in, which has some more components to it, and then the exhaust that has to be done. I may be finished this evening. I'm not sure, and I'm not making any promises because there's still some things that I may need to go over the old recordings to make sure that I have everything correct, which I think I'm going to have to do. Well, I'm going to call it quits for the day. What have I accomplished? The exhaust is back together. The radiator is back in. Although I do have to get clamps for the radiator hoses, so it's kind of incomplete. The inverter is back in. It's been connected. Still have some wiring to connect. It doesn't seem that this piece that they welded on there really serves any purpose on this particular model. So hopefully it will operate fine. This inside cowling, I don't know if you can see it. This inside cowling connects to the inverter so that we get the cool air to come in and cool the stator and the rotor. So that's been replaced. New intake, exhaust fan, new stator, new rotor, new wiring. So now, and before I forget, today we also replaced the air breather housing. as well as the air breather filter. Tomorrow or next week sometime, I'll do the oil change, filter change while I have it apart, and then redo all of this wiring so that we're able to start it and commence a dry run. So hopefully everything should be up and running within the next week.